Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I'm happy to see you. I'm glad you're here. Let me start reading with this passage that we're gonna be in Matthew chapter 1. We start a new series, the Matthew's Messiah, and this morning I wanna be talking a little bit or a lot. I don't know how long. The mothers of Jesus. The mothers of Jesus, and when the title came to my mind, I said, the mothers of Jesus. How many mothers he had? He had, but let's read this passage in Matthew chapter 1, verse 1 through 17. This is the genealogy of Jesus, the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham was the father of Isaac, the father of Jacob, the father of Judah, and his brother Judah, father of Perez and Sarah, and whose mother of Tamar. Perez, I say Perez is a last name? That's not a last name, it's a name. Perez, the father of her son, the father of Ram, the father of Animabad, the father of Nason, the father of Solomon, the father of Boaz, did I say it right? Boaz, thank you. Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. Boaz, the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. Obed, the father was Jesse, and Jesse, the father of the father of King David. David was the father of Solomon, whose mother had been Uriah's wife. This is really amazing here. Solomon, the father of Roab, the father of help me with that. Abijah, the father of Asa. Asa, the father of Josaphat, the father of Jeroham, the father of Uzziah, the father of Jonathan, the father of Asa, the father of Eseka, the father of Manasseh, thank you. Manasseh, the father, that's a lot of names here. Manasseh, the father of Amon, father of Joshua, and Josiah, the father of Jehoiah, and his brother at the time of the exile to Babylon. After the exile of Babylon, after the exile to Babylon, Jehoiah was the father of Shalatiel, the father of Zerubbabel. I've been trying all those names all this weekend and last weekend, but it's okay. You should read this passage. It's not what you let me hear alone. Zerubbabel, the father of Abiud, the father of Eliakim, thank you. Eliakim, the father of Asor, the father of Sarov, the father of Akim, the father of Eliu, the father of Eleazar, the father of Matan, the father of Jacob, and Jacob, the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, and Mary was the mother of Jesus, who's called Messiah. Thus, there were 14 generations, and all from Abraham to David, 14 from David to exile to Babylon, and 14 from the exile to the Messiah. What we can learn from here? That's just names, right? For me, when I was thinking about this message, I'm thinking about in the Advent, the weeks leading to Christmas, we usually take a look of Matthew and Luke, which is the story of Jesus was born, and interesting enough. And we're always talking about it, but we never talk about genealogies. But I think it's really important. This genealogy helps us to understand what we are going to do these 4 weeks. We are looking towards Christmas, asking what does it mean that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, was born as human being? What it means? Here's 3 things that I want to share today, this morning. And generally, at Christmas, promise came true. Grace changed all categories, and reality becomes a fact. So let's talk about the promise. The promise came true. Probably the main message of the genealogy is right here in the verse 1. This is the genealogy of Jesus, the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Let me say this. A promise was made to both David and Abraham. Abraham was promised that through one of his descendants, his seed, all the families on the earth will be blessed. Remember? David was promised one of his descendants will sit on a throne, and he reigns will last forever. Now, in Jesus Christ, the promise has come true. It's not just Matthew. It's not just Matthew, Luke. Start the same way. The story of Jesus and Luke start with the genealogies. Luke as Mary's son, the Magnificat, and Mary's son, she sing. He has remembered to the merciful, to Abraham and descendant forever, just he promised.
Amen.
Let me say this. The meaning of Christmas, among other things, is God kept his promise. Says he made a promise and he came through it.
Amen.
Let me say this. It's very important to understand. Look how long it took God to fulfill his promise. It is centered after he made the promise, David and a millennium. After he made the promise to Abraham, it took thousands of years to fulfill his promise, but he did.
That's right.
Something else that's important to notice. When we look to the promise that God did to Abraham, it took like 1,000 years before it become true. But it takes a millennium to David, to the Messiah. It was thousand years. And when we think about the promises that God made to the Abraham, it takes a long time. Even before the Messiah appeared, it passed like almost 400 years without any prophecy. Looks like God is not gonna fulfill his promise. It takes so long. He just went. Even at that point, there's no voice of God speaking to the prophets. Everything looks like world wars because there's no king on the throne. They don't even know who the descendant of David is. They don't have clear in that. At that point, the prophecy kind of died. The prophecy, the whole kind of died. And nobody was thinking, even with that. And when you think about it, the Roman emperor will rule his nation.
Yep.
So there's no hope. Look like there's no hope. But then Jesus came. And as we will see, he was greater Messiah than any have imagined. So this is our God. This is your God. If you believe in him, the lesson what we learned this morning here is God always fulfilled his promise, but never. Listen to this carefully. He never operates in our frames.
That's right.
Even the way in which he is working to fulfill the promises is something we cannot see. It looks like he's abandoned sometimes, but he's not abandoned. But in the end, he will give us more than we can imagine. He's not a time God. He's always fulfilled his promise. But he always takes longer than we think he should. He always does. So, in Jesus Christ, the promise becomes real. But there's another. Promise come true, but generally not in the way or time we expect. But this is really important. When I was reading this passage, all those names, we need to understand this. changed all of categories. The grace of God. This is the maybe not quite obvious to see. We get this from the middle of genealogy. But let's see, notice the verse number 3, if you within your Bible. Judah, the father of Perez and Sarah, who was the mother, whose mother was Tamar. And verse 5 say, Solomon, the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. Boaz, the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. And verse 6, David was the father of Solomon, whose mother has been Uriah's wife. It's really important. It's really interesting here. Honestly, when I was thinking about this is amazing. This is extraordinary. Now, when we see the genealogy for us, probably it's not important. But at that time, it's really important. Right now, what is important for you to get a job or just to get a job, you need to get a resume. The resume is really important. If you don't have a resume, you can hardly gonna have a good job. But at this time, what is important is the genealogy. Who's your father? Where are you coming from? But what is interesting for me here, if you notice, there's 5 women. 5 women. Probably for you and for us and our culture is not really kind of amazing. But for that time it's really amazing. But let me say this before I move forward. We live in a highly individualistic society in which all the matter says what you accomplish. You accomplish. Thinking about resume. Did I say right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When I think about this, it goes beyond that. First, our rule was when we think about who in the world are these women. Because we're always thinking about people from the Bible. We are thinking about saints, holy people, right? But the first of all, Ruth was a Moabite. And Rahab was a Canaanite. They weren't Jewish. That's amazing. When I was thinking about it, it's the Greeks. These were the people of the speed for marginal races you usually experience. You didn't have them here. But guess what? The Lord put it here.
Amen.
Judah, the father of Perez and Sarah, whose mother was Tamar. When you think about Tamar, you have to think about the worst person in the world. I don't know if you have thinking about it, but you know, she made incest.
Yep.
She tricked her father-in-law. That's amazing. I mean, not amazing what she did, but what I can see is the grace of God in these genealogies.
Amen.
The grace of God was just right there. And she was a prostitute.
Yeah.
And then, what about Rahab? What was her work? She was a prostitute. They shouldn't be here. But what is more amazing for me, it's at the end you say the wife of Uriah.
Yeah.
Uriah. It doesn't say the mother of Solomon or Bethsabe. For one purpose, the Lord avoided her name over there, just to remind us what David did.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody wants to be like David, the king of Israel, the guy who got the heart of God, and everybody wants to be like him. But he brought Urias here just to remind us that he don't deserve, even David don't deserve to be in the list. But the grace of God put him there as the same way as the Lord put the ones here.
Amen.
This is the grace of God. This is the grace of God. When I see here, I can see how much overflow of grace I find in this genealogy. That's what I find. David was the father of Solomon. Let me move forward. What I find here, what it's saying here, is saying David is not better than the president. There's Rab, there's Rube, and there's David. Matthew says David the king had no more rights to go into the presence of the holy God than the prostitute. Just immoral religious people don't deserve fullness, God's blessing, or life with God forever. But neither the religious people.
That's right.
Or moral people. They're seeing overtly, don't look at obviously, but inside of their hearts, do they love God with all their hearts, show the strength and mind? Nah. What I see is the grace of God. But let me say what happened here. If you are in Jesus, family, then, and only then, you have a name. We're talking about the genealogy and the names and the resumes. So we don't have, when I heard, and let me move a little bit away from that. As a Christians, as a sons and daughters of God, we don't have rights to discriminate nobody.
That's right.
That's sometimes when I get in trouble, when I hear people cue the Bible on one hand, but point the people who's different than them. I don't understand that. It doesn't make sense. Because the Bible, even in the Old Testament, the Bible asks us to be compassionate with people with not the same as we are.
That's right.
That's right.
So, we are a family. That's what I say this. Inside of the Christian church, we must not be like out of the world. They're in the world. Why? The gospel, the grace of the gospel smashes conventional worldly canons of respectability and accomplishment.
Amen.
It didn't, the ancient ones making mention, genealogies, and it does the modern individualistic methodical ones making mentions of resumes.
That's right.
So that's what the Bible, that's what the grace means. When you think about in Ephesians, we find the mysteries of the church. From two different people, he makes one.
Amen.
It becomes the church. Because the grace changed everything.
Amen.
And when I see, and another thing, when I see the story in chapter 4 on John, you will see the lady, the woman, and looking for the water, and Jesus talking with her. He breaks the prejudice.
Yep.
He went beyond the prejudice. Let me say this. I need to move forward. But when Jesus came, the reality becomes a fact. Let me say this. Do you like all fairy stories? They're my next. I'm trying to find another picture, but I just find that one. It's fine. legend, myths, and all those wonderful stories, they were talking about how different they were from realistic and fiction. The ancestors will depict wonderful things like stepping out of the time. Maybe even time travel. Have you been? Like just you stay here and you're gonna wanna wait from communication with no humans. All those tales is about fiction. We're not talking about Jesus. When we're talking about the reality becomes fact. That's not just a tale. When you think about Harry Potter, I don't know if you like it. Or The Lord of the Rings. What is about it? It's about fiction. It's about illusion that we have. We want the life be like that, but the love never ends and everything. And be happy. Everybody were happy, and then you can transport to the one place to the other place without wings.
Yeah.
What about the Beauty and the Beast? All those tales are cool. What about the Sleeping Beauty? Tolkien, I'll probably say, Tolkien and his friends, C.S. Lewis. If you know, C.S. Lewis was an athlete before he became a preacher. And he said, we were talking along, talking about things like Beauty and the Beast. It is not factual, true, but isn't there a love that can liberate us from our self-made Christians? Sleeping Beauty. It isn't actually true, but do we really feel like death is the end? That's the conversation between these two guys. What if you were a hero who could wake us from the dead and break the spell with the keys?
Amen.
They were not factually true, but they are reality. They are that had enough to be true. We read them and are moved by them. But we have to go back to the factual world.
Yep.
At one point, they would say, I love to the whole myth and legend stories. Then he says something like this. Tolkien wrote it down a letter. By myth are lies. Through bread, through silver. Tolkien say, now they are not. Think about this story. This story. A man from obscure village, and nobody's found, to have a power that no one has ever seen before to resist evil. He is raising children from death, stilling the storm, feeding the multitude, casting out demons, and loving the poor and marginate. He's really making a difference. And then he betrayed. He's put in the dead, and no hope is over. But wait, his miracle raised from the dead. What does it sound like? That's what he's talking about with this guy. That sounds like another one of those great stories. That's unfactually true. But it's so moving and so wonderful. The point of this history is different. It doesn't start when once upon a time. It starts when this is the genealogy, the historical records. This is real.
Amen.
Happened.
Amen.
Right.
Tolkien essentially say Jesus is not one more history point to this underlying reality. Jesus Christ is the ultimate reality to which all the stories point.
Amen.
In fact, Jesus Christ, God's ultimate reality, become a fact, breaking into the real world. Jesus Christ is the ideal become real and starting to transform reality into the likeness God. What everybody else in the world but Christian is living with his concrete slab between fact and what life ought to be. Now Jesus or great captain has happened and clipped and punched the hole in the 30s wall in the world.
Amen.
What he means. I was thinking about, I read this, something like this. In some way, I hope you understand and I hope you don't stone me. In some ways, he's the handsome prince who kissed us and made us wake up.
Amen.
From the sleeping dead.
Amen.
That's what the Bible says.
Yeah.
He's the Lord who can get you out of yourself made precious. He is the king who slides the dragon. He is the one who does all these things, but not a history. That's not history. This is the climb of Christianity. This is not a once upon a time.
Amen.
That's the reality.
Amen.
That's the reality. Let me finish with it. If you believe in Him, we got the reality.
Yeah.
We don't just have the fairy tales. We got the reality.
That's
we
right.
got Jesus Christ in our life. That's what Christmas means.
Amen.
That's what Christmas means when we. Let me finish with this. But if he's not just a legend. If he actually happened, if he really was born in a manger, died on the cross for our sins, was raised from the dead, and broke the power of the dead over us, then you can be saved by grace.
Amen.
You can be somebody He's proud of. No matter what you've been done, Christmas is not once upon a time.